live up till I'm on top.
Yo,
Yeah.
no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders.
What up? What up? What up? And welcome back into Pregaming here on Sports Money, Monday through Friday, popping off at 6 p.m. as we do, talking about last minute numbers, shifting and data, injury updates, weather reports, everything you guys need to make informed betting decisions. Ideally, those informed betting decisions will lead to winning bet tickets, and that's what we're going to try to do tonight. Hey, kind of got a little treat. Yeah, they pushed this baseball game way the heck on back, and because it's now way the heck on back, we'll talk about it. I got some action for you guys there. Also, some cautionaries, some things that you want to be careful of, specifically pitching. Yep. Planet loves them overs. All playoff season, they've been cashing. How many innings will we get out of the Tigers and Seattle pitchers today? Because that will most certainly impact the majority of the bets being written tonight. So we'll look at that. We'll talk about that Toronto and Yankees game. Side and a prop there. Penguins and Rangers. Going to give a season breakdown for those two squads. Talk about a parlay for that spot. And then we'll wrap it up with Colorado and the LA Kings with some must-know trends before you bet on that LA Kings game. And no, the must-know trends are not how great the Kings did at home last year. 31-6 on home ice. Anybody can find that. Got to peel it back a little bit. Dig in and try to come up with something unique that I think gives us a distinct edge to cash in that sporting event, I should say. Let's see. Lots of things happened today. First and foremost, I think it was yesterday, the UFC announced that they will host their, well, I guess it wasn't the UFC, it was the president. The president announced that they will be hosting the White House, the UFC White House event on June 14th. Now, the question here, it's Trump's birthday. It's part of the 250 years of America, whatever the case may be. But that's a Sunday. Will they host a UFC event on a Sunday? Joey Flacco sets history today. Well, not really sets history, but this is the third time. Third time. 1, 2, 3. Third time in NFL history that there has been an inter-division trade at quarterback. Can you name all three? 1. The era of Tom Brady began with the movement of Drew Bledsoe to Buffalo. New England to Buffalo. Thought they had something special. 2. The Carson Wentz era begins when Donovan McNabb gets traded to the Washington Redskins at the time. Then Redskins. And now 3. Joe Flacco, the journeyman himself at 57 years old. I don't know how old. I know he's old. Going from Cleveland to Cincinnati. Interesting maneuver there. Now, what that does is it gets us closer to the Shedeur Sanders era beginning in Cleveland. Dylan Gabriel got the start last week. That quarterback room, after all the movement, all the changes, everything that's gone on, that quarterback room is down to Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. Not Dylan Gabriel. You know what I got. How many more starts before we see Shedeur go in there? Let's see. What else happened in the world of sports? Some defensive changes. Baltimore's trying to stock up and strengthen up that defense. Drop an edge rusher. I believe it's a cornerback they're bringing in. What else? The Buffalo Sabres are a complete mess already before the season's even started. Before we even get there. What makes them a mess? Goaltending. The most important position I think it's the most important position in hockey, most likely. And they're a mess. They made their roster yesterday, and within 24 hours, Gorgiev gets released. Now they've got this Devin Levi. This is the kid they drafted. Brought him up a couple times. They want him in Rochester. They want him in the minor league squad. So they're a complete mess right now. They don't have their goaltending situation figured out. They're bringing in replacements and backups already. That screams desperation. Stinks. The New England Patriots set history. Their history, anyways. The first time in New England history last night. Not last night, the Bills game on Sunday. Held the running back to less than 50 yards rushing per game in all 5 of their starts. We talked about it on Sunday. Are the Patriots going to the playoffs? Playoffs? I don't know, but I thought there were some fascinating things in the world of sports out there. And some crazy fucker dropped a bomb over on Montreal Canadiens to win the Stanley Cup. Bet Online reporting, $1,000 wager. Canada hasn't won the Stanley Cup since 1993. Somebody went out there and dropped $1,000 on the Canadiens. And Magnifico. We did. We had the decision 2. Dylan Gabriel. It was Dylan Gabriel. I was right. Decision number 2 from LeBron. Tricked everybody. Trolled everybody. He's not leaving the NBA. Sorry if that's what you thought. So, and not only going back to that Buffalo thing, not only did I mention their goaltending woes, Jordan Greenway, Owen Power, Kesselring, and the UPL, key personnel for that Buffalo Sabres team, all players on the injured reserve to start the season. So get ready. It's going to be a slow start for Buffalo. I do believe. Not that it hasn't been a slow finish for Buffalo either, but hey, that's the way it's going to go down today. So appreciate everybody joining us. We will pop off with the Dana White Contender Series. Only 2 shows left. 2 of them. 2. Tonight at 8 p.m. we'll kick off the 5-fight card. I think I've got 2 really nice looking spots on that card. One of them starting to seem like it's getting a little published. That scares me a little bit. But, hey, had a nice night last night. Easily crushed our over. Easily got the Jaguars win. Sadly, some player props that did not come through because they got hurt. So what are you going to do? Both players got hurt. One of them, 22 receiving yards right off the gate, and then bust his hip out of the game on the IL for the next 4 to 5 weeks. Oh, something just fell in my eye. And hey, 31-28 though. Easy over for us. Cash money, man. 45.5. They smoked that total. Live betting opportunities galore. Plus 7.5 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Gave the plus 3.5 pre-flop. I don't care about the Patrick Mahomes situation. And then I told you guys, I think that this is probably the week. They had that look-ahead spot because the Lions are on deck for them Kansas City Chiefs. Phillies lost again to the Dodgers. Thought they were going to come back. Feel like I got goaded into a live bet at plus 780. I made it. I made my own. And the Brewers got the job done, of course, against the Cubbies, the Chubbies. So that's the way it's going to go. That's the way we're going to get after it tonight. We're going to light this candle, get this show on the road. Before we do that, though, you guys show some support. Go out there and smash that thumbs up button if you haven't done so yet. And we'll get to the picks. Just like that, it's time to get your favorite plays in the chat. I want to talk about what you guys are on. That's my favorite part of this show. And see if we can't clobber these books here. Now, it does look like slated start time. Now, I don't know this officially because we're dealing with the weather. 7:08 is now they just pushed it up from 7:35 to 7:08 for that Seattle and Tigers game. So we do have time. Could start. I don't know. I don't know if they would move it up any sooner than that. It seems like that is the spot. So we'll talk about it. Logan Gilbert, Jack Flaherty, Shane Bieber, Carlos Rodon, dynamite pitching matchups tonight. Shout out to Smoke and Mirrors in the house. Cheap bourbon, expensive cigars, NHL, MLB, and NBA preseason. Let's go, says Smoke. Shout out to Nicholas Handy, Peter Gracia, and AOD checking in. Jay Main in the house. What up, Main? David's here. Joe W. What's up, Joe Dub? Jay Main says Jags money line in the over. Yes, sir. Had that teaser. Teased it with the over. Let's go. Tease up, not down. That's my learning lesson of the day. Stop Geo says boots on the ground here in the D. Weather radar not looking great, y'all. Bullshit all around us here by the ballpark. Local radio saying MLB making their decision on the game by 6:30. Okay, there you go. It's even more of an update with boots on the ground. Jay Main says, IDKY, Flacco horrible. He's experienced. They run a similar system. By the way, they're expecting him to play on Sunday, is what I read. As long as he passes the physical, gets in there and gets rolling. It's a very similar offensive scheme to what he's familiar with. They're expecting him to be a quick study, and they're expecting him to start on Sunday. Crazy. Stop Joe says books cleaned up on the Publix bets in those SNF and MNF games. They sure did, man. Magnifico in the house. What up? Jay Main says, I wasn't sold on KC beating a bad B-more team. You kidding me? Yep. Well, everybody loves Detroit. Detroit's been the most public bet team the last 2 weeks. Hammering on the Lions. They're so good. They're never going to lose again. We'll see. Magnifico says LeBron in Hennessy. Nasty Nate made some good money last night. Magnifico says DNCS, this guy that trains with Makachev by finish, but looking to pair it with something. Tarek B says, what up, Big Mike? How do you like that live Brewers plus 240 and 2.5 when they got hit 0-3 in the first inning? Of course. Jay Peasy. What up, Peasy? He says, Dodgers gonna sweep. I don't know. I don't know if Yamamoto is going to be capable of getting the sweep. Stop Gio says my Lions are going to be down. Their top two starting quarterbacks this Sunday night versus the Kansas City Chiefs, expecting a shootout. The total has already moved from 48.5 to 52s. Currently, Peter Grassi says, nice call, Jack's teaser. There's Gonzo in the house. What up, Gonzo? Nunez here. Nunez says, just got back to the crib. Got the salmon smoking. Just in time to slip in tickets. Let's go. Shout out to all you guys joining us. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Love to see that. Seasons are back. This NHL's in the air. NBA's coming up. Talked a little NBA last night, I guess. A little bit, barely. Preseason wise. I took an L here. I told you guys, I'm not a preseason. This is the time to get your stable of hoes in place. Our stable of players that will be rotating through our same game parlays throughout the season. Now's a good time to take a peek at them. But I think I had, what did I say? I didn't play it, just so we're all on the same page. I just remember saying if I was going to take anybody. I think it was the Grizzlies. And I think it was a home team. Home team factor because of how well they played at home. And they lost. 128 to 112 to the Pistons. I do remember that now. I do remember that. So, our takeaway here, there's plenty of sports to bet on. Don't need to be betting on preseason. Although there was a nice preseason run here in the NFL. So, anyhow, been a pretty good, it was a pretty solid NFL Sunday and Monday. I'll say that. Even going back to Thursday, popped some tops, got some cash in the pocket. So that's always a fun thing to see. But let's go. Let's talk about some of these games. Let's talk about this Tigers game. All right, so look, I told you guys, if they play the game, if Magnifico says Grizzlies 50-22 second quarter. Yeah, I know. Don't bet the preseason. All right, so listen. The planet has been betting these overs, and they're winning. They're cashing. You got stud pitchers on these teams. They're going past 5 innings, so they're being priced at, 16 and a half, et cetera. They're outpriced. I had the under yesterday, and who's that fucking scumbag that ended up going over? Anyways, and he went over. I mean, they're just cashing. They're going over. They're leaving him in. They're leaving. Blake Snell was the guy. Couldn't think of that scumbag. I am concerned. I am concerned for those plays with the Seattle-Detroit game. How many innings will we see from some of these players? That is the question. I'm going to take the Tigers. I'm going to give you guys the splits. We'll get into this thing and talk a little bit about it. But look, first of all, you got 61% of the bets, 67% of the cash on the Mariners. I think it's an overreaction to Flaherty. And I don't know if I want to use the word overreaction. He is in the pile of dog shit situation today. And he does it well. So you got to be careful, as I said. And I think if you're handicapping this based on the pitching situation out there, the problem you're going to run into here is how many innings are you going to get? Now, Flaherty, I said pile of shit situation. Had a nice start his last time, allowed 1 run on 4.2 innings. That means they took him out in the 5th. He follows it up as an 0-9 when he allowed 2 or fewer earned runs his previous start. Full disclosure, just letting everybody know. He is in the pile of shit mode. But I looked at this game and I thought to myself, first and foremost, is there a distinct advantage? Yeah, well, if we get those primary starters and they're going to go 5 or 6 innings, potentially. Distinct advantage in the fact that, if you look at the season overlays, Logan Gilbert, 2.52 in his last 7 starts, 2.30 in the month of September. Played these guys twice this year. Once at home, once at the road. Consistent with his numbers that he's had right now. 2.61 ERA, 19-3 strikeout to walk ratio. Tigers, we talked about them struggling down the stretch. The last 2 weeks of the regular season, 262 OBA, a 65 for WRC plus against righties. Those are both good enough to be number 27 in Major League Baseball. So the other side of it's the Jack Flaherty wild card, and 4.64 ERA, 1.28 whip. What are you going to get? Not only does he have a 4.64 ERA, his last month and a half of the season or so, he went to a 5.36 the last 9 starts. So he did have a nice start his last game. Seattle's stepping up from a hitting perspective. So this is simply why is this line not moving if everybody and their brother is sitting on this Seattle Mariners side of things here? So I do like Logan Gilbert. I like the 16.5. I like the 6.5 strikeouts. I see what was cashing all postseason long. I just don't know if you're going to get this guy. And I think if that's the case, now it could be just out of an abundance of caution that I say that because, maybe they did know it was going to rain all fucking afternoon and their start was going to be pushed back 3 hours. Maybe they did. And maybe that affected the way that they started. The reason I'm always so antsy is because I feel like they do the routine twice and pitchers are creatures of habit. So if you push them back their start time and they got to go back and do their warm up again, does that take them from the opportunity to go 6-7 innings? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see tonight. I do know you want to fade the Mariners in this spot. They win by less than 4 runs. They are in a fade position. It's 9-1. It's last 10 times. Tight games. They're not built strategically to go out there and win with a lot of runs that keep it going. Now, that being said, I like the price tag. I think this is just a good number. Home team off a loss. That's been a pretty productive and positive thing going on here. And Might be a little skewed. Might be a little biased with my AL DS winning Detroit Tigers. So we'll see. We'll see how that game shakes out. But just be careful with the pitching props. Recognize that they may not go the full original slate of schedule. Game number 2. People fucking show up around this time. Crazy. Toronto Blue Jays, New York Yankees. Big opportunity here. I really want to get on this under. I'm just thinking. Now, by the way, that Seattle game, the total went from 8 down to 7.5. 71% of the bets are on the over, 52% of the cash. I think the under is a strong look there as well. My estimation is that the Seattle pitching just gets lit on fucking fire. They puke up runs, and that kind of keeps me off that total a little bit. Anyhow, this game opened up 54% of the bets, 49% of the cash on the New York Yankees. Line went from minus 148 to minus 167. 20 cents, 19 cents. Problem is, this is exactly where Toronto needs to be situated right now. Exactly where they do. They got Bieber. They brought him in at the deadline. They brought him in off of Tommy John surgery with essentially an extended off season. And they got the Yankees backs up against the wall. So you got to love that position. Now you got Rodon. He's a killer. There's no doubt about it. He does give us some opportunities, though. The first 2 games, the Yankees or the Blue Jays just lit the fucking world on fire. Couldn't do any wrong. 23 total runs. Everyone was like, what happened to the Yankees? They should smash. They're the better team. And on paper, maybe. But I talked about this yesterday. Shouldn't surprise you that I'm going with the Blue Jays. And the reason is that I like this bottom half of the order. They're all producing. They're all productive. They're all in the positive numbers. And so you've got 9 wide. And the Yankees are struggling to figure out what they're going to do from a roster perspective. They sat Rice Baby. They bring him back in. He goes out there and fires. Paulie Goldschmidt, he's nowhere to be found. Get the milk cartons out. This fucking guy's disappeared. And there's just a back against the wall pressure at home for this New York Yankees team that I don't want to see him be in that position. I don't think that they weren't even expecting to get here. I think they're free rolling right now. They did a hell of a streak at the end, but when you look at the pitching matchups themselves, like I said, Bieber's coming back in this thing. He did have the Tommy John surgery, which means he had the extended offseason and he was able to rehab it, get himself back into position. And so you got essentially a fresh guy, really coming in with experience, playoff experience on top of it in Shane Bieber. Rodon, 3.09 ERA, 1 start so far in the playoffs. 6 innings he pitched out there against the Boston Red Sox. So a lot of hits. And I think that's the challenge here. You lost 7 base runners in 6 innings. Don't forget his 3rd inning. He was looking dead to rights and he somehow got out of it. But I just don't think you can put, first of all, we know Aaron Boone makes stupid fucking decisions. We know that. And how long do we see a guy like Rodon go? This is another situation where I think it's a tricky cap on the pitcher because if he does get in that shaky 3rd position, guess what happens? Cam Schlittler comes back out and he gets a chance to toss some playoff baseball out there. So that being said, if you're backing Rodon, boy, I'd be nervous. This guy doesn't seem to have the ability to go through the big guns when it comes to the big games. Last season in the postseason, couldn't even get through 5 innings in 3 of his 4 starts. 6.15 ERA, 7 career playoff games. So big games, he disappears. Now I put Vladdy Guerrero, I put Vladdy Guerrero in there. Killing it. Grand slam, game 1. 6 for 9 in these last 2 playoff W's. And he dominates Rodon. 10 for 17 He's been walked 4 times. He's gotten 5 RBIs. He's got a 1.608 OPS, all against Rodon. I think these are great numbers. I think you get a plus 175. So here's my thought. One of the 2 of these spots cash. We're positive. We get them both. 2 units turns into just over 3. There you go. Now you know. If you don't know, now you know. What do you think? What say you guys about that? Let's see. Yep, Stop Geo says first pitch expected at 7 yet. That's what I had too. David's laughing. Smoke Amir says Rodriguez helped off the ice. Huh? Would it surprise you if the Chicago Blackhawks won tonight? It would to me. I talked to you guys about the banner raising and the thought process being let's fuck their night up. They might think it, but it ain't happening. 68% of the time, the team raising the banners ended up getting the victory in the NHL. So maybe that sport's a little unique and different than the rest. I don't think so. But you got to think about it. If you're standing around for an extra 10, 15 minutes while you're watching the other team hoist their banner, all you're thinking about is let's go kill these guys. Not literally, but, figuratively. Now, hockey, we do it different. You guys know the deal. We try to look at more, less cash flow splits, I guess, right? We want to look at more of the lineups. We want to look at the top 6 players and how they grind out. We want to look at goaltending averages. Now, it's the first game of the season, so we don't have any data. We can look and kind of surmise or ascertain a team's opportunity based on the directional changes and how they finished their previous seasons. And I think that's what we have to do here. Now, I don't know how everybody woke up this morning and started saying Sidney Crosby's going to get traded away, but that doesn't boast well for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins and Rangers, game number 1. If you do want to know, 89% of the bets, 82% of the cash are on the Rangers. 85% of the bets, 94% of the cash are on the over. 6 is juiced. 6.5 is juiced to the under. That said here, I like goals. I think this is a spot. If you look at how this team's finished last year, the Rangers come into this thing and they got Shesterkin back as far as their goaltending is concerned. And you could argue that he had a kind of a shit season, not a shit season, but he didn't have the same. He got injured. It wasn't all on him though, because their defense was god awful last year. If the Rangers got in a shootout, they were losing not literally a shootout, but like a score fest. They were on the L. They were riding the L train, getting busted up. And the Penguins on the other side of things, look, they're not much better. So what they do in the offseason, well, the Rangers, I should say the Penguins fire their coach. Guess who picks them up? The Rangers. So you do have that little coach revenge. Do you want to play for our guys type of theory? Now, if it was mid-season, I'd probably weigh a little bit more heavily on that, but I think they want to start out strong. The big difference in the revamp here, the Penguins, they just kind of waved the white flag in the offseason. What I mean is they are talking openly and candidly about the rebuild. And now the rumors are coming out about the Sidney Crosby's going to be for sale as a rental. And then at the end of the season, they'll bring him back in and he can retire a Penguin. I don't know if it's going to be the case or not, but, and Penguins are just priced to shit. They're in the race. They want the number 1 guy that's coming off season. So, Gavin McKenna is his name, and there will be the Tank for McKenna conversation taking place because he is supposed to be a generational hockey talent. What did the Rangers do on the other side of things? Well, I told you they made the coaching change, and they made a pretty big defensive move. They brought in I've talked about defense and how these teams they funnel it back, and if you can have a key defender, he can almost operate like a quarterback out there, kind of getting that puck on net, and that's Koivunen. 2.9 points a game, 12.42 shots per 60 minutes of ice time. Keep that number in mind because he's in my stable as far as how this team's revamping and redesigning their defense and moving forward. I think this is a big opportunity for him. Lineup wise, you're going to see last year we talked about the Penguins as an older team. one of the oldest next to the Capitals on the ice. They didn't, I don't know. I don't want to say they didn't do much they didn't really make shit for trades. They just committed to the rebuild, and now they're breaking up. Malkin's going to be on the second line. Crosby's going to be on the first line. They're going to bring in some subpar talent to work with them. I mean, Anthony Mantha, the former Detroit Red Wing. Justin Brazeau on the second line with Malkin. So I don't know. I don't know what we'll see out of those guys, but I do know what I like in this game, first and foremost, is, they make a new captain announcement with the Rangers. I mean, they revamped and overhauled. So get rid of Laviolette, bring in Mike Sullivan, bring in Koivunen on the defensive side of things. They brought in Scott Morrow. And I think this is a team that felt that they were just a little slighted last year. So the way I played this one here, the Rangers and Koivunen, 2+ shots on goal. Obviously, Koivunen was getting in the lineup. If I talked about him 6 times, he was making the cut. And the reason I like him there is because, again, the way this team is built to run this offense now, it's going to be a defense gets shots on goal, and they try to sweep in the rebounds and get them scores up there for the New York Rangers. I don't want to take the Rangers in regulation. I also caution you guys about taking teams on the puck line right now, just because it's just too early in the season, Like the regulation price tag -165, these guys don't give a shit if they win in regulation or not right now. They just want to go out there and play hockey. They're all still trying to get their lines in order, work on who's in the official top sixes, etc. So I want the full game. I don't care if it goes to overtime or not. And then give me Koivunen, their stud, to go out there and get 2 or more shots on goal. And that's a +130 price tag. So we take a -225. We turn it into a +135. And I actually thought about taking the take one shot on. If you do this isn't a bad idea either. Koivunen, 1 shot on goal. Vladdy Guerrero, 1 hit. And that price is out to around a -1. Oh, I'm sorry. I think it's a +135 as well. It's right in that same plus money wheelhouse. 1 hit for Guerrero, 1 shot for Koivunen, plus money price tag. Something to consider. Irish King says the Rangers first period -0.5 in team total over. Irish King says, what's up with that Seattle-Detroit game? Be careful of the pitchers is what's up in that one. Kelly D says Saturday, Rangers at Penguins, FYI. Kelly D says in regulation with a player to have a point. Good plays, in her opinion. Yeah, I think you got. Look, at everyone's strategy is a little different. My only concern with that is you have 2 low probability outcomes that you both need to happen to make that thing work. In other words, the team to win in regulation. I don't want to say low. It's not low. It's better than the puck line to win in regulation. It's a very finite outcome that needs to happen to cash that bet. And then you have to get a point on the other side as well. See, whereas in this case, with the full game being open, it doesn't matter if it goes to overtime or not. If we cash the Koivunen 2+ shots on goal, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe I don't make sense. But I don't mind it. I'm going to start taking more assist props, I think, this year. We'll see how the season goes. We'll see how the sports season goes. Mark Cal says, what a time to be alive for all sports. Even CCB almost here. College hoops is almost here. Are almost here. It is a fun time to be alive. Dana White Contender Series tonight. We'll be live for that Contender Series. The Avalanche and the Kings are going to pop off for the final game of this slate. I got some tennis plays I'm going to release tonight. 4 of them. Yeah. I'll give the 4th one. It's a little juicy, but I'm going to give that 4th one anyways. So make sure you do tune into the Dana White Contender Series. Slow card, low card, not a lot of plays, or a lot of games, but we always do better in those cards anyways. Spokamir says, you think Carpenter has over a half a base tonight? Nani is asking anyone down to parlay NCAA football picks for tomorrow's 2 games with some Dana White Contender Series. I'm sure you'll find some folks that are down for that. We do have weekday baseball or weekday college football, 2 of them. There you go. He's putting it in the chat for you guys. Liberty, 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 liberty. I think they're a good spot tomorrow. I'm not a big UTEP guy to begin with. That line hasn't moved. Minus 1.5, 83% of the bets, 69% of the cash are on the UTEP Miners. Hasn't moved. Still sitting at 1.5. Interesting spot. Andrew G says he likes Missouri State. That's another one. 36% of the bets, but 75% of the cash are on Middle 10. The Blue Raiders. That line hasn't moved. As expected, totals are moving. That line's dropped 5 points. Blue Raiders come down 5 points from 54.5 to 49.5. Total hasn't moved on the Liberty Miners game. If that helps you while you're making your decisions out there, Nunya, for some college football, happy to give you those splits. All right, let's get into this one. Let's talk a little bit about it. KV's lighting us up, telling us some goods. I don't know if I'm a fan of players announcing that this will be their last season. I don't know how you guys feel about that. And so talk about these teams in the offseason. The LA Kings, probably the most glaring obvious one, the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche last year trade away Rantanen. He didn't want to be there. He wasn't going to sign the contract. Then he gets over to Carolina. Didn't want to be in Carolina. They just got him the fuck out of Dodge. He played for 9 or 10 games? And then they sent him to Dallas. And then they play Colorado in the playoffs, and they bust him up by Rantanen scoring. What did he have? 7 goals in the first 2 games of that series? So Colorado's going to be mad. They mad. Ooh, they mad. Then, what didn't make sense to me is you make a GM change. Ken Holland comes in. He's now your GM and president of hockey operations for the Los Angeles Kings. But they didn't do anything. Literally. No changes, no organizational, not much in terms of structure. Cody Ceci as a defenseman, Brian Dumoulin, okay. They signed old as dirt Corey Perry. Okay. And then you got Darcy Kemper. Look, he was there. They sent him to Washington. Washington sent him back. I mean, this is a guy that's probably had one of his better seasons. 92.1 save percentage. However, how much of that was fueled by the fact that the Kings beat the shit out of everybody at home? 31-6-4. I mentioned it. So I think that what that does is that lets you know if you're Colorado coming. Now, first of all, it's the first game of the season, so there's no excuse not to be ready, not to be prepared. The line did slightly move towards the Avalanche. 46% of the bets, 56% of the cash. Here's the difference maker. One, I don't think there's anything special or worth noting out of the ordinary about the ice surface in LA that gives them a distinct advantage. Colorado, one of the best home teams. Why? Well, I think in that case, you have altitude. You're playing at elevation. So the gas tank runs out a lot faster. I don't think that's the case when it comes to an LA Kings squad. I mean, I guess you're sea level. I guess you could argue sea level makes the ice feel like it's a lot longer. But my point is, I think that 31-6-4 was an anomaly. We'll see if they go on a 15-game win streak at home again this year. Game 1 trends, road favorites. If you made the playoffs last year, you're playing a non-divisional opponent. Game 1, road favorites are favorites for a reason. They're 8-2 in their last 10 performances. That's a game 1 trend specifically. We're only going to get that one a couple times here in the start of the season. Game 1. 8-2 in its last 10 starts, says Colorado Avalanche. Also, the first 20 games of the season. So we break this NHL season down in quarters. When both teams made the playoffs the previous year, the total's a 6 or higher. The team with more regular season wins is 130-63. That's a 2-1 advantage right there. Again, Colorado Avalanche. So, to me, I'm going to take the favorite. They're a favorite for a reason. We see that in game 1s, they punch their ticket 67% of the time through the first 20 games of the season. The team that was the better team the previous year continues to dominate and prevail. And I tie that back to the general manager discussion because they didn't do anything. It's like they're planting their flag in that they got robbed last year. I don't think they got robbed last year. I mean, they played some good. They beat Edmonton, not all the way, but they pissed them off the first. What was it? The 2 games of the season there, or the first 2 games of the playoffs, and then Edmonton came back and paddled their bottoms. But I think it's a miscalculation of the assets and the resources that they have available in Los Angeles, and they know better than I. But when it comes to me putting my betting money on it, I'll take the minus 110 favorite and see if we can't go find our path to victory this evening. So that's going to do it. Light card, 4 games on the card, plenty of action for us to take advantage of. And I just wanted to paint more of the picture of kind of where to be cautious in that baseball game. Early in the NHL season, don't dig yourself a monster hole. Just some things to look out for. Like I said, I don't want to trust a team on the puck lines here. And they're still figuring themselves out. They're still figuring out their special teams units. They're figuring all of that stuff out there. So it's not like if they get the power play, they can go out there and all but guarantee themselves a goal because they have an extra guy on the ice. They're still trying to figure out who's going to be on power play 1 and power play 2. And I know that they've got rosters set, but those things are fluid. You get your top 6 figured out. Then you figure out your special teams. They'll start with your goaltending, and you got to have a strong defense. So I think that we close out the shop here tonight. You guys get ready. 8 p.m. We'll be popping off here in an hour and 15 minutes to talk about some Dana White Contender Series. We'll be live betting, sweating. Good luck with everybody's action here tonight. Make sure you guys haven't checked it out yet. Check out the post tab at Sports Money's YouTube page. Struck again with a football poll that was out there. The consensus got the dub again. That's awesome. I appreciate all you guys that do take the time to go in there. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button if you haven't done so yet. And check us out over at Winnable. I posted all my action earlier today on Winnable. Beat the lines. Got some good CLV in there. It's a low, inexpensive way to support your fellow cappers and specifically myself. Don't have big business supporting us. So anytime you guys go out there and hit a big score, think about it. For a couple of dollars, you can go over there to Winnable. Sign up for our text alerts. Never miss the action when it drops. Get the best bets. Get the best spots. It's your boy, Mikey Money. I'm inviting you to join the Sports Money crew on Winnable. Get all of our premium best bet selections.
For a low monthly cost, you get the very best bets delivered instantly to your phone by text the moment they're locked in. No delays, no missed lines, just the smartest plays at the best odds.
We do the work, you get the plays sent straight to your phone right when you need them.
Don't wait, don't guess, don't miss the line. Join the winning team today and start cashing tickets with